Upheavals in the social investment sector as a former minister is invited to an anti-crime watchdog, while the current one is told to step aside while investigations go on. The Supreme Court affirms the election of Governor of Benue State, Isaac Alia, of the APC as the duly elected governor, just as the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory declares as illegal the prolonged detention of former Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, awards the sum of 100 million naira fine against the respondents. Meanwhile, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has reacted to the court verdict ahead of the February by-election in the district. APC conducts primary election for Yobe East Senatorial seat. We have this and more on Political Update today. Welcome. The Supreme Court has affirmed the election of Isaac Alia of the APC as the duly elected governor of Benue State. The five-man panel of justices, headed by Justice John Okoro, gave the verdict in Abuja. The Apex Court dismissed the appeal of Titus Uba of the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the March 18, 2023 governorship election in Benue State. The dismissal followed an oral withdrawal of the appeal by the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and its governorship candidate upon being confronted by the Apex Court that the matter was a pre-election matter. Uba of the PDP had challenged the victory of Alia of the All Progressive Congress, APC, before the tribunal and the Court of Appeal in their verdicts, and the Benue State Election Petition Tribunal and the Court of Appeal Abuja affirmed Alia's election as the Benue governor following his declaration by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, as a winner of the March 18 governorship election in the state. This verdict has put paid to all adjudications on the conduct of the 2023 governorship election in Benue State. The High Court of the Federal Capital Territory has declared the prolonged detention of former Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, as illegal. The presiding judge, Olukayode Adeniyi, gave the verdict while ruling on the fundamental rights matter instituted at the instance of Godwin Emefiele. The court equally awarded the sum of 100 million naira as damages in favor of the applicant against the respondents.
Olukayode Adeniyi, while citing the plethora of judgments by courts of competent jurisdictions against the unconventional culture of arrest and detention of suspects before investigation by law enforcement agencies, condemned the actions of the agent of the first respondent and that of the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and the commission to have incarcerated the former governor of the CBN between the 13th of June 2023 and 8th of November 2023, when he was released on bail on the order of the court without arraignment. The court held that the prolonged detention constituted a flagrant violation of Africa's fundamental rights to personal liberty, preserved by the provisions of Section 35 of the 1999 Constitution, as well as Article 6 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights Ratification and Enforcement Act. Justice Adeniyi, without prejudice to the powers of the court, with respect to the criminal trial the applicant is currently facing at the High Court of the FCT, further barred the respondents, its agents, or any person acting on their behalf from further rearresting and detaining of Emefiele without an order of a court of competent jurisdiction.
Judiciary has once again shown to be the last hope of common man. And I mean, the court has been able to give him that reprieve.
Efforts to speak with the counsel to the respondents were unsuccessful.
Meanwhile, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has expressed dissatisfaction with the judgment of the Federal Capital Territory FCT High Court awarding 100 million naira damages against it in favor of former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele. Justice A.O. Adeniyi on Monday, January 8, 2024, fined the commission after it ruled that the commission's detention of Emefiele in the course of its investigation was a violation of his right to liberty. The decision failed to take in cognizance, according to the commission, the fact that the former CBN boss was held with a valid court order. Consequently, the commission says it will approach the Court of Appeal to set it aside. Moving to the discussion of the day, it's been a deluge of allegations, counter-allegations, EFCC investigations, suspensions, and sacks in the social investment sector in the past weeks. But beyond the issues of graft or mismanagement, how has the sector, designed to cater for the vulnerable become particularly susceptible to exploitation itself? Former Secretary to the State Government of Adamawa State and immediate past National Coordinator of Social Investment Program, Dr. Umar Binder, is our guest today on Political Update. Doctor, every government relies... let me first thank you for joining us on Political Update.
Thank you so much, and Happy New Year.
Yes, it's just a week, about a week plus into the New Year, so I wish you the same, Doc.
Thank you.
Now, every government relies on social investment interventions to reach the most vulnerable persons in the society. What are we getting wrong or right?
Thank you very much. A very, very important question for us to discuss, and very important for Nigerians to understand. I think since independence, we've recorded that every single administration has actually understood the definition of our country being a developing country. And that definition literally indicates that we have challenges with poverty. And most, if not all the governments, military inclusive, always try to, from day one, to promise people that, yes, we will tackle this because that is how you touch people. And people will remember. Even if you go back to the First Republic, all the Operation Feed the Nation, Green Revolution, and then you come towards the Babangida era where you have the MAMSAs, the NDE, the People's Bank. You run down to Abuja time when you have FEEP, Family Support Program, Petroleum Tax Fund, and then you come down to Obasanjo when you have PAP 2000, poverty and National Poverty Eradication Program, and then you come to Jonathan era when and Yaradua era when you have what do you call it? The subsidy removal, SURE-P, and so on and so forth, down to the administration of the last administration where you have the National Social Investment Program. All these programs have been targeting poverty. And one thing that is very, very clear is that we have not been able to get it right to actually quench and crush poverty just like the Chinese did. In 10 years, they removed over 300 million people, nearly 1.5 times the population of this country out of poverty. And it's not just drinking clean water or whatever. No, Chinese with skills, Chinese with technical skills, employment, high-wage jobs, and so on and so forth. The reason why, in my opinion, that we are not getting, and I've been part of some of these programs, is that we do not have a very clear targeting strategy. And we believe that this is just any other job for any other person. This thing has to be very, very strategic. You have to choose the right people who have the commitment, who have the fear of God, who have the technical preparedness, and who knows, who understand that poverty can touch the old, the young, the male, the female, the disabled, the able. So this mixture, if you're not prepared, you cannot be able to handle it. So, and these are the challenges, I think, that the programming in our country is facing.
All right, let's look at it. You were part of, the, last one, and, when government wants to reach the most vulnerable, we rush to this. And, the realities of forced migration resulting to internally displaced people that we've seen, in the past years as well, has also, joined the mix in terms of the kind of interventions government would have to make. Somehow, we've seen a situation where perhaps instead of seeing a lot of successes, we're also being inundated by scandals. What exactly is that? Why exactly is that, I want to say?
Well, I think, to be quite honest, you have to give honor to those that the honor is due to. Is that I think the creation of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, initially disaster management and social development, is very, very innovative, to be quite honest. It's literally to say we're going to pull all the core federal institutions that tackle directly to the poor and vulnerable in one place to facilitate synergy, to ensure that the partnership is very strong, to ensure that the cooperation to target very well. I think that creation is very, very innovative. Did it work well? I also, possibly you're asking the question to the wrong person because I was part of the team. I think the team worked very hard. A ministry that was established in August 2019, and by 2022, it's a fully fledged ministry that is working, 8 parastatals, 8 or 9 departments, moving, trying to move. I think possibly it's a miracle, from nothing, from no office, no staff, nothing, and then to have that. I think Nigeria should learn to celebrate successes, to celebrate that too. 2, I think fighting poverty is a function of your preparedness, particularly when you have to be omnipresent. You have to be omnipresent in many places at one time. And omnipresence means being technically prepared, using technology. And I think at least the National Social Investment Program in which I worked deliberately deployed the information and communication technology deliberately. When you look at the National Social Register, which in my opinion is one of the best things that has ever happened in Nigeria for targeting poverty, is that before we left, 15 million households have been documented. Digitally, we have the database. Out of this 15 million, 2 million households have been mined so that they are benefiting on the 5,000 naira per month cash transfer. All the 2 million are on the database. Every household has what we call as a caregiver. That is, it's not an individual. It's a house that is, benefiting from the 5,000. Each of these 2 million individuals are documented with their names. Everyone has an account in a bank. The BVNs are there, so the payment is seamless.
Let me come in a little bit, Doctor.
Yeah.
There must be also, of course, for it to be sustainable, so that you move people out of poverty, apart from perhaps just being able to document them and reach them directly. In terms of skill acquisition, which perhaps is a key component of these schemes, how have you gone in that direction? What efforts have we been able to make in terms of penetration and eventually in terms of successes?
Well, the core program under the Social Investment Program to do with skills is the NPower. And NPower has 3 levels, 3 layers. The first layer is graduate unemployed. They're vulnerable. They are well learned, they have certificates in the degree, leave them on the streets, anything can happen. So there's a layer for them. The second layer is those ones that have graduated out of secondary school, have not been able to get to the tertiary institutions, and they are there. They have a bit of skills, they can communicate in English, they have, they can be trained, so that's the second layer. The third layer is the ones that are informal. They are primary school dropouts or totally not educated. So all these 3 have very, very specific strategies for targeting. The NPower for graduates have 3 arms. They have the NTeach, mine these graduates, attach them to primary schools in their communities, let them teach, and then they are paid 30,000 naira minimum wage at the time. Or mine some of these graduates, attach them to the primary healthcare facilities in their own communities, and then you pay them. They give basic healthcare services. And then the third component is that mine these graduates, attach them to agricultural activities, poultry, fishery, and so on, operating in their communities, and they also pay them 30,000. And I think over the 3 or 4 years that these things has happened, we have been able to target over 1 million of these graduates, and people don't understand. This is also not just the targeting, not just the attachment, but it's very expensive. Imagine 1 million graduates, paid 30,000 each. This is a 30 billion naira per month bill. People don't understand this. In 2 months, you have 60 billion, and so on and so forth. And I think because the data is there, the beneficiaries are there, the activities are there, the centers where they attach are there, to a certain extent, on a scale of 0 to 10, I will give it a 6, to 7 pass mark. The second level is those that are in the middle. These ones are trained intensely, 3 months in-house, in plumbing, in welding, in all sorts of skills. And when they graduate, after 3 months, 6 months of intensive training, they are given a kit, what we call as a starter pack. So those who pass through welding will get welding kits. Those who were trained in plumbing, they will get plumbing kits. And then they are attached to practitioners for another 6 or so or 9 months. Most of these ones are actually self-employed. Yeah.
All right. I think you made your point in those, in terms of how the schemes have been able to capture, the most vulnerable, as well as also, give hope in some of these sectors. We'll come back, to, your final words in moving forward, perhaps, so that we won't keep on having, this crisis of confidence, especially when we have, top public office holders needing to re-explain, why this, this is, the right way to go. But let's quickly look at a few political stories developing, and then we'll come and close shop. Governor Opuzodinma of Imo State has expressed belief that the 2024 Appropriation Act of the federal government will fast-track sectoral developments that will change the face of the country for good. The governor expressed his hope while talking to State House correspondent Abego Pardon after his meeting with President Bola Tinubu at the State House.
Proposed by the President. If we're able to perform even 50% budget performance on that document, it will not be the same Nigeria. We have had instances where reforms were carried out in some countries. Some policies that looked initially as unfriendly policies, 2-3 months of gestation period, becomes the darling of all stakeholders. So I'm confident that the initial period of the takeoff of some of these policies that will give us a more robust economy will soon be over, and Nigeria will begin to enjoy the product of the new vision.
Former Commissioner of Finance and Economic Development, Mustafa, has emerged as the APC Yobe East Central District candidate after scoring an overwhelming number of votes at the primary election conducted by the ruling party in Damaturu ahead of the February by-election in that district.
Yobe East Senatorial District is made up of 7 local government areas, namely Damaturu, Gujuba, Gulani, Tarmua, Bursari, Gaidam and Yunusari, and has a combined total of 74 electoral wards. Lined up here are among the 370 APC delegates from the political wards of the district, being accredited by the Electoral Committee and simultaneously casting their ballots in the primary election that was keenly contested between Dr. Salisu Sanda and Musa Mustafa after a voluntary withdrawal from the race by one other aspirant. At the end of the exercise, the winner emerged, as announced by the returning officer for the primary election, Ibrahim Kabir Masari.
Musa Mustafa score 356. Salisu Sanda score 0. This is to satisfy Musa Mustafa having scored the highest vote, the highest number of votes cast, is hereby declare of today's election the winner.
Recall that the by-election is necessitated following the resignation of Senator Ibrahim Gaidam of APC, who was appointed member of the Federal Executive Council by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, serving as the Minister of Police Affairs.
All right, before we close shop on political update, Dr. Umar Bende is still here. And you were also, at the time, the former, you were also the Secretary of State Government of your state, Adamawa State. Now, you've seen, the President's, message at the beginning of the year, his promises and all that. But a lot of things are being pushed in from the federal level. Needs the buy-in of the subnationals. Looking at the rest of the year, what would be perhaps your hope, especially at the subnational level, for us to see the accelerated developments that we want in key sectors of the economy? Quickly before we go.
Yeah, I think we should facilitate our efforts to strengthen our partnership, not just at the federal level, institutions that are similar, but with the states too. States normally have replicate agencies, so we should facilitate to forge this. Secondly, we should have regular consultations with clear information and data on whatever we have been able to do. We should strengthen our monitoring, evaluation, and impact assessment structures and tools to ensure that we are constantly following things. And I think if we do these things, we too we can be able to change the lives of our people and reduce poverty.
Some say that perhaps we should also have a reduction in some of the spendings, especially for political office holders. Do you agree?
Well, yeah, I think to me, I look at things positively. And I encourage Nigerians to try as much as possible to celebrate successes too, not just to dwell on problems all the time. And I think no matter how good or bad we are, you will always have elements of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And let us concentrate also on the good to ensure that we brand our country as a very, very positive country in the Community of Nations.
We've had Dr. Umar Binder, former Director General, NOTAP, former SSG, and former coordinator of the Social Investment Program. Thank you very much for being a part of the program today. Doctor, we'll be calling you again in the course of the year, perhaps to lend in your expertise on key areas of our development as well.
Thank you very much. My hope is renewed, so I'm available.
All right, so that has been Political Updates today. We will be back again on Friday for another package. Between now and then, keep your politics clean and do it for the greater good. And keep it logged on the Nigerian Television Authority for news, reviews, previews, and interviews. Bye-bye now.